All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's bi-weekly update. We want to welcome you to the new year. Happy New Year, everybody, and hope you are in store for a great year this year. Hope last year was great. If not, hopefully this year can be better. So we all go through trials and tribulations, high points, low points. Some years are better for others than others, but hopefully this year can be one of your best years ever. And whatever you're trying to work on, whatever you're trying to accomplish this year, I hope it comes true for you. I hope you have the fortitude and gratitude to get through it all and accomplish what you're looking to accomplish. We have high hope for all of you. So we want to welcome you to the year here. It's a really great time of year. It's a great time of year to start new things. It's a great time of year to reflect on things that worked well. I know a lot of people make New Year's resolutions at this point in time. I just want to let you know that I read something really, really kind of depressing almost. It's called National Quitters Day, and that most people quit on the second Friday of every January on their New Year's resolutions already. That seems pretty fast to me. It's called National Quitters Day. I didn't like it at all. We promise, our Gentian team promises we won't quit on you. When times are good, times are good. When times get tough, they get tough. And we are here for you in good times and in bad times, good markets, bad markets. We promise we won't quit on you. One of the things that our team is ready to do is to help you. And I want you to know that this year we're here for you, big or small. Let us know what it is. Sometimes it's financial, sometimes it's family, sometimes whatever it is in your life, we are here for you. We will not quit on you. Okay. So whatever the National Quit Day is, whatever that is, fine. But here at Gentian, we don't quit on people. We stand beside you. We stand with you. We want to raise you up so you can have the best year possible in your world. So I just want to let you know that piece as well. We're coming off a great year. 2024 was a great year in the markets. 2023 was a great year in the markets. We're coming off back-to-back really good markets, really nice growth in your investments that we've seen, 401ks, and your investments that you have here. We've seen your net worth. You've probably seen your net worth grow. Not in all cases, but in many cases that is the truth there. So just want to let you know that, coming off some good years, let's prepare for a correction. I think all of you have said, hey, by the way, we think a correction is coming. There probably is one, but that's where we stand with you. That's where we're going to be there with you through those times as well. So Mike will talk about the markets a little bit today. I'm going to talk about the financial checklist. I have basically 3 different categories of checklists. We're going to go through those, hit some highlights, three in each category. I know Ashley's here. She's going to talk about the happenings at the end. Also has some really cool information about how to save money or think about how to put more money in your pocket for January and the whole year, quite frankly. Michael Birschbach is on the call today as well. We'll hear some planning ideas, what's new for 2025, what are some of the things that are changing, and we'll go from there. So, but first we always start to go big. Let's begin in gratitude. Today is Chris Doty's birthday, so he is celebrating his special birthday today. So if you have a chance, reach out to Mr. Chris Doty, wish him a very happy birthday today. Maybe he's watching this, I don't know, but if you are, happy birthday, my friend. Thanks for everything you've done for all of us, especially me, and you're a wonderful human being, and we want to wish you a very happy birthday. So going big, I put together the financial checklist. Like I started working on this, for the last couple of days, and I said, what am I going to talk about today? So at the island last night, I was putting my final thoughts together. My son was there, and this is the first time he said, hey, Dad, what are you working on? And I said, I'm working on a financial checklist for the webinar tomorrow. I can't wait to present it and talk to our clients and give them a few, pieces of information. And he's like, tell me more. Every time you talk about finances, I want to know more about it. So it's the first time one of my kids said, hey, Dad, what do you do? So as a parent, that went right to my heart. And now he's forever on the financial journey with me. So just my gratitude goes out to all my kids and all my family, but specifically Parker today. Because he wanted to learn more about the financial stuff. So, Ashley, how about yourself?
Thank you, Ken. Happy New Year to everyone joining us today. I'm grateful for a wonderful holiday season. Our kids were off for 2 full weeks, so we got to just enjoy some quality family time together, do some exploring in different states they have not been to yet, and just enjoyed each other's company. So I hope you all enjoyed a wonderful holiday with your friends and family, and I do look forward to a new year. Thank you, Ken.
Very nice, Ashley. Thank you very much. Mike Mann, how about yourself?
Thanks, Ken. Grateful for a very wonderful holiday season. I mean, it was just such a good throughout the time I was able to spend in Wisconsin, then back out in Virginia for New Year's Eve. And actually, it was kind of nice having New Year's in the middle of the week. There was no fear of missing out with just staying in and hanging out, and so spending that time. And then the last couple days, we got 8 inches of snow out here. So kind of an unexpected bit. It's been cold enough that it's stuck around, and the dog's really enjoying that. And we're really enjoying it. If you've seen any of the pictures of the snowball fight outside of Washington, D.C., I did stay inside and work that day. I was not partaking, but pretty cool to see how everybody celebrates the snow around here because it is more of an uncommon experience.
It's pretty good. Snowball fight. Some people call that the inauguration. I'm not quite sure, but fair enough. I heard that joke from Chris yesterday, but he's not here today, so he's celebrating his birthday. But I thought it was a funny joke. So, Michael Birschbach, how about yourself?
Thank you, Ken. Like everyone else, I'm very grateful for a wonderful holiday season. But one thing I noticed is just the evolution of a lot of the relationships in my life, whether that's my parents who now are telling me things and giving me advice that I'm actually using, or whether that be some of my friends who have grown their families or just seeing their lives develop over the last 10 to 12 years has been pretty cool, not only to witness to, but to be a part of. So just really grateful for that.
Thank you, Michael. We appreciate that. Thank you very much for sharing all that. And of course, when we have our meetings with all of you, we love to hear what your gratitude is. And we always like to hear what you're up to as well. So what we're going to talk about today is the financial checklist. So I really have three different categories today. I have the accumulator, someone who is years away from retirement and really starting maybe their first job or in the middle of their career, getting to that point where the saving and the thinking about retirement is becoming more real for them. We also have the pre-retiree, those who are going to retire in the next couple of years. What can we be doing now to really put ourselves in a great position to feel confident when we do retire? There's also the retiree, of course. If you've been retired for a while, you know a lot of the stuff I'm going to talk about in the first two segments. But there's also a few things that we could have a checklist for the retiree as well. So let's start with the accumulator. Number one is start early. I think it's a well-known thing, but very few people do it. And the earlier you can start your saving is really the key to all this. So when you get your first job, if it's one of your kids or one of your grandkids you can help them out with, or if you're listening to this as a client of ours in the accumulator stage, start early and often. That is the key to it all. It's Albert Einstein compound interest. If you're not familiar with what compound interest is, we will help you with that, because it is the most wonderful thing when it comes to money. Basically, it says if you start early, you don't have to save nearly as much to get to the same goals that you want. Okay. If you start later, you have to save sometimes twice as much, three times as much, four times as much to get to the same goal, because we don't have the time. We don't have the compounding of your money at that point in time. The rule of thumb is 15% of your gross income. If you can save 15% of your gross income every single year, you're going to put yourself in a beautiful spot to have plenty of options to pivot whenever you like, and retirement should be very nice for you. Balancing debt with savings, of course, is really important too, because debt right now isn't 3 and 4% or even 2% like it used to be. It's 7, 8s, and 9s. So we need to balance this idea of saving with debt reduction. We'll help you with that if you have questions on it. Number two, emergency fund, cushion fund, or a rainy day fund, whatever you call it. The rule of thumb is 6 to 12 months of expenses. So if you spend $5,000 a month, times that by 6, $30,000 is what we should have in savings, as that example. So don't forget about the emergency fund. Most Americans cannot handle a car repair. Most Americans cannot handle something that is not planned. That's where the credit cards come into play. So having that rainy day fund, that emergency fund, that cushion fund, super, super important right now. Cash is also still paying right now. It's over 4% in many cases. So if you have some cash savings, you want to earn more on that, let us know. We can help you with that as well. Number three, review your insurances. This is from home to life and everything in between, disability, umbrella policies. This is a really important piece. If you're in the accumulator phase, you might be early on. You might have a young family. You might have those things that are in your life right now. Life insurance, review it. Do you have the right type and do you have the right amount? We'll help you through that if you have questions, but review that. It's a very important piece for the accumulator stage. Moving on to the pre-retiree stage. That means that if you're like maybe in the next, like now or the next 2 or 3 years, what can we be doing now to help ensure a wonderful and comfortable retirement. Number one, practice your retirement spending. Practice it. Write down things over the next year or so. What are you really truly spending your money on? And be honest with yourself, because sometimes what we see sometimes is that, hey, I'm planning for 5,000 a month, but in all reality, we need 7,000 a month. That's where problems come in. That's where the idea of running out of money can really come into play. So practice your retirement spending, practice what you're writing down, figure out where you're spending money, figure out what's important to you. Those are all important pieces to all that. Number two, have you saved enough? This is probably the biggest question we get is, are we ready for retirement? Have we saved enough? And are we going to have enough income in retirement? Use the 4% rule when it comes to your overall investments. You have $1 million, 4% of that is $40,000 you can expect to spend from your investments before taxes, and have a very, very long and prosperous retirement, okay, without having to worry about running out of money. The 4% rule has been around for a while, and that will help you identify, have you saved enough? To even take it a step further in all this, practice, instead of taking all of your money you have saved up, your full bucket, only use 80% of that number. So if we have $1 million saved up, for the example, right? Use 800,000. Take 4% of 800,000, which is 32,000. Can we make it on that, plus Social Security, plus other areas of income that we may have? So those are good rules of thumb there to help you identify, have we saved enough? Of course, there's also inflation, there's sequence of returns. There's quite a few pieces that go into all that. We can help you out there if you want to know what your number is, or do you have you saved enough? Number three, start to assemble your retirement team. This is a big one. Retirement team, as I said there are a lot of investment advisors out there that do not specialize in retirement. Find yourself a retirement planner. If it's us, if you're with us already, wonderful. We focus on retirement. This is what we do. It's the investments get structured differently. How do we manage through tough times? How do we manage through good times? A retirement planner can help you take your money and help it go the distance with you. So we have that wonderful, comfortable retirement that we're all looking for. Number two is in the accountant. Find an accountant. If you don't know one, we know plenty of them. Make sure you don't just have a scorekeeper, if you will, someone who we can talk to, someone who we can bounce ideas off of to make sure that, from a tax standpoint, we're paying what we should, but also identifying what the opportunities are and really how to set your wealth up for today and also tomorrow. Health insurance and Medicare agent. If you have one of those, great. If not, we know them. We know some good ones, and we're happy to help share that information with you to get you the coverage you need. An estate planner. Also document your wishes. An estate planner can help you do that. So assemble your retirement team. The third category, the retiree. A lot of you who listen to these are retired. So here's a good one for the retiree. The checklist, top three. Number one, review your annual spend rate right now. Times have been good. 23 has been great. 24 has been great. 23 has been great. The last 2 years have been great. We're able to take out a little extra for a car or a trip here and there, right? When we go through a market correction, don't spend too much. We need to go back to that 4% rule. It matters because when we go through a correction, all of a sudden now our money is temporarily going down for the moment. And if we're taking out too much, that is a domino effect the wrong way, and it puts us in jeopardy of running out of money. So review that spend rate, if you will, the annual spend rate. Use the 4% rule. It's been tried and true for a long time, and our clients have experienced that to be the case for themselves in retirement as well. Number two, review where you're spending your money. We call this empowered wealth. We study with a group called Empowered Wealth, and really it helps to answer the question, what do we value more than money? What's important in our lives? Is it our health? Is it our family? Is it our experiences? It's a deeper question. A good way to look at this is if you take a look at your spending and what you're spending your money on, is it going towards the things that truly you value and truly you have meaning for in your life? Sometimes we get a little frivolous on things over here and we think that this is going to make us happier, and all of a sudden we get by it. And 2 weeks later, we're like, didn't really do much for us, right? So help identify what's important to you, help identify what you value the most and what's important in your life, and maybe try to shift those dollars to those areas going forward. Number 3, there's different phases. Someone once told me a funny kind of saying. It's called the go-go phase, the slow-go phase, and the no-go phase of retirement. So a lot of you are in retirement. A lot of you are been around for a while. You're in the go-go phase. You like it. You're doing the things. You're doing the traveling. You're doing the experiences with everybody. Then comes the slow-go and no-go. So as we're enjoying the go-go phase, this question comes up quite a bit too. Where am I going to live in the go-go phase? Is it where I live now? Is it around kids? Is it around grandkids? Have our kids kind of spread out across the world and the nation? Where are grandkids? What do we value? Who do we want to be around when that time comes? When the slow-go phase hits, this is where our hips start to hurt a little bit, our knees start to hurt our back. We can't handle the stairs as much as we could before. The question becomes, am I living in the right place where I can be in place for the rest of my life? Where am I going to live? It's a big question. It's not an easy one, but it's something to start thinking about. It's on the checklist, if you will, because it's a big one. And a lot of you told us that's important to you. And that's why it's number 3 on the list of where am I going to live? So those are the checklists that we came up with for the different categories, if you will. I know there's quite a bit there, but we do have 3 different phases of people that we do help out. The accumulator, the pre-retiree, and the retiree, of course. So hopefully that's helpful. I'm going to switch it over here to Mike Mann, and Mike Mann is going to talk about the markets. And what do you have in store for us today, Mike?
Thanks, Ken. I think there's some really valuable lessons that you went through in there. One of the things that I just want to add to that is that as an accumulator, sometimes it's really great to hear from the older generations of what they went through to get to where they are. How did they basically navigate, let's call the market the C, what we need to navigate to be able to save, to be able to build that compound interest? How was that navigated, and which ways did they save that was productive? And then in others, what could be done better? So maybe it's because I'm immersed in this every single day, and I've grown to really love and absolutely just adore what I do for a living. So I do like those opinions and how those things come across. If you need it to be delivered by someone else, we're your people. We're happy to talk to your kids. I have the pleasure of speaking with a lot of them. So it's a wonderful thing. Steering the ship a little bit, if you will. I'm being very, lots of analogies this morning, I guess. But if your boat is your retirement, what do you have to navigate to get there? Well, that's the C, the market. Let's talk about the ups and downs, the waves that you have to go through. Let's talk about what happened in 2024 to start off with. There really isn't a whole lot of point in telling you year-to-date returns. I mean, everything is within 1%, either up or down when you look at the indexes at this point. So I won't get into that one bit. Returns last year, what was the best performing asset class? Well, the best performing asset class from a macro standpoint was large cap growth. And that was driven a lot by technology, communication services that would have been considered technology at one point in time, but has kind of transitioned. And really, that's been that advent of AI, a lot of that reinvestment in those companies to continue to ride the coattails of what could be in the future. And then being able to have a resilient United States economy that was unexpectedly so. Continuing onward. And it really, we're hearing from a lot of experts that next year they're looking at the economy in the United States still being resilient, seeing what'll happen there. There's more uncertainty as things continue to go up. But I want to remind everyone, in 2024, the market set over 50 new all-time highs. It does like to continue onward at times. And if you look at back through the course of time since 1980, there was actually only 10 years where the market was actually negative from start to finish. So I think that's fascinating. Within all those years, though, there's an average intra-year decline of 14%, which we haven't seen yet. Anyways, I'm getting a little bit off track. Let me get back to the indexes and how we did in 2024. S&P 500, and we're talking total return numbers here, which is a little bit different from what we usually present. Total return is the reinvestment of dividends and the gain that that also has upon the indexes themselves. So total return of the S&P 500, it was up 25.02%. The Dow Jones, it was up 14.99%. And the NASDAQ was up 29.57%. That right there is a really good indication of where those companies were, given that the NASDAQ is more top heavy when you talk about some of the technology companies and that which drives that index itself. When we take a look at overseas, emerging markets had a nice little recovery last year from an index standpoint. They were up 7.5%. They're still having a tough time. When you look at the trailing 3 years, they're down almost 2% each year. We'll see if there's a reversion to the mean there, which means that we'll see potentially more outperformance just given what has happened historically after times of underperformance. Developed international, we're seeing that as being at about 3.82% was the return of last year. Looking at the smaller companies, we always want to take a look at small cap. That's the Russell 2000. 11.54% was the return last year. A lot of that being driven in the fourth quarter. We watched some of the mutual funds that we recommend specifically, and some of the companies really having a nice jump during that point in time. Once there was more certainty. Small caps like certainty. They like to know how those small companies can operate given the conditions that are laid out to them. So I just want to just kind of list a couple trends that we might see coming into this next year. And the keyword is might. Nobody knows what's going to happen. We don't have a crystal ball. Nobody knows what asset class is going to be the best, but we can take a look at potentially some interesting things and we'll see how it reacts. So I'll tell you what's kind of interesting to us and what'll be cool to see. So a lot of things that drove the market is the emergence of these technologies. I'm really interested to see how those emerging technologies will now be applied to some of the bigger brick and mortar companies who can now save money on labor, save money on some different things based on their implementation of artificial intelligence. So let's see how that affects their earnings and see if maybe they could get a little bump this year because they've been outperformed in the last 2 years. So it'd be interesting to see if there's a reversion and if they can ride the coattails and maybe, get a little bit back into gear when it comes to that shift. We tend to see those being value companies and those being growth companies outperforming at different times, and a reversion to that could be in the near future, but we don't know for certain. Anything could always be in the near future. We'll just put it that way. Another trend will be interesting to see how the Federal Reserve acts in comparison to what happened last year. Overwhelmingly so, the market expects the next Federal Reserve meeting to result in a pause. We've heard some experts say that there's going to be as low as maybe 1 to 2 rate hikes lowers this year, keeping things relatively as they are. The United States economy feels like it's in a good place. We'll see. I always want to remind everyone, and the third thing to watch for in 2025 is what is the ever inevitable unforeseen event? What is going to happen that's truly going to affect the market in the short term, create those waves, create that turbulence that you have to navigate? Well, regardless of what that will be, it will be trivial in the future because when you stay invested and you just ride that out, that's when you're able to capture positive returns. Thanks, Ken.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that very much. Great overview on the markets and the economy and kind of what's in store as well. So great to see that. And, sometimes we get questions about like what sectors are going to do well and, this and that. When you take a look at last year, consumer communication services, technology, consumer discretionary and financials kind of led the way, if you will, very much on the growth side of things. And then the question becomes, what do you think is going to do well this year? That is a tough question to answer, and Mike kind of alluded to some of that in there, is that we really don't know what's going to happen in 2025. Here's what we do know. We know that we built something for you that's evergreen, where you're well diversified. You have the different categories and different sectors inside of your account. And we don't know if this is going to continue or if, say, value flips into favor or if healthcare flips into favor or real estate. We just don't know that. No one really knows that piece. So it's evergreen. The piece that helps us out to identify where we don't have to guess is called rebalancing. And we talk about it pretty much every meeting, every time we have a chance to talk with you guys about it, we talk about rebalancing because it takes the guesswork out of what's going to happen or what did happen. Because as Mike said, there's a couple categories that have done really well. The technology sector, the large cap growth category of your investments, your strategies, right? That's done pretty well. So when we rebalance, we naturally sell some of those profits at a higher point and invest into the categories that haven't taken off just as of yet. So rebalancing is the function that helps us not guess. Because sometimes when we guess and we think something's going to happen, guess what? It usually doesn't. And that's where the strategy and the discipline, or the faith, patience, and discipline comes into play with rebalancing. Michael Birschbach, can you help us identify some of the new planning categories for 2025?
Absolutely. Thank you, Ken. So I'll keep it a little bit lighter, but still want to talk about those specific categories based on where you are in your saving journey. So for pre-retirees, there's a new special catch-up contribution for those age 60 to 63 to 401ks that now applies, which will be indexed for inflation going forward in the future. It's the greater of 10,000 or 50% of the old catch-up amount. For those accumulators, you may have already seen this or heard this from your employer, but there's now a student loan matching program for 401ks. In English, that means that your employer can make a match contribution to your 401k based on your student loan payment amount. So it's a way that the government is trying to help those young accumulators save for retirement while at the same time tackling some of their student loans. This could apply to multiple of our categories, but one thing that's relatively new, it came out last year, but it's getting a little bit more traction now, is 529 to Roth rollovers, which for those 529 savings accounts, whether that could be one of your children, your grandchildren, or if you're an accumulator that went in a different direction and didn't use all those 529 funds, you can actually roll those to a Roth IRA for the beneficiary of those accounts. There's some rules that apply and some limits, but a really, really good saving and planning tool. To wrap things up, part-time workers now have new rules for 401ks. The way that they state it is if you work 500 hours per year for 2 years, you're now eligible to participate in your employer's 401k. And lastly, one kind of shocking thing to me, but the Department of Labor is coming out, launching soon, a lost account database, which if you had an old 401k, pension plan, anything like that you're having a hard time tracking down, they're creating a database that's going to help you find that account. I don't have too much detail on it because it hasn't launched yet, but there is millions of accounts in America, and they estimate roughly $1 trillion in unclaimed retirement benefits. So I think it's going to be pretty valuable. So that's just a few things that are new for 2025. There's a ton more and some topics that we'll get some more clarity on. And we'll deliver that to you once we have more news. Thanks, Ken.
Thank you, Michael. Wouldn't that be a real treat? All of a sudden you find this database and next thing you know, you have $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 out there that you didn't even know about. So it could be a great surprise for 2025. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate that. To round out the update today, we're going to bring on Ashley Newworth. She is going to talk about Ashley's acumen on the financials, how to save a few dollars here and there. And also she's going to talk about the happenings happening at Gentian here today.
Thanks,
Ashley.
Ken. I'm going to just touch on, first of all, it's a new year. So that means a lot of either resolutions for some people, also maybe just a no spend January. I've heard it a few times and seen it across a few different sites. So I just wanted to bring it up here. It's a time where you pause on any excess spending. The holidays are a busy and expensive time of year. So try not spending money on, let's say, a coffee shop, eating out so much, additional shopping, clothing, you name it. Try for a no spend January. An accountable buddy might also be a good way to help you save some money this month and for the rest of the year. Taking a look and evaluating your current bills is a good idea. Carriers as well as providers tend to increase your rates a little bit in a new year, of course, because of new rates. And so give them a call. Maybe you can negotiate your rate down to what you had, or maybe even save some additional money. I know a lot of people like to clean out after the holidays because you've gotten all these new things from Christmas. Don't always donate them. There's an option, maybe if they are still valuable, to sell them on Marketplace, sell them on eBay, and then you can also earn some money that way. Using cash and not your credit card. If you tend to spend more because you don't see it physically, try using cash for a couple of weeks and see how much money you save. Also, planning your travel in advance, maybe for the rest of this year, can help save some money instead of doing those last minute trips. So those are my money saving ideas. And then also just wanted to touch on two important things that we do have coming up here in the month of January at Gentian. That includes our January birthday club. That will be taking place next week, Wednesday, which is January the 15th, here at our office, beginning at 12 o'clock. Please remember to RSVP, either using your bulletin that was sent out on Monday, or of course, you can go to our gentianfinancial.com website and RSVP there. You have until this week, Friday, to RSVP. And again, we look forward to celebrating those with a birthday in the month of January. And last but not least, Michelle Norris, our health and nutritionist, will continue in 2025. She will join us for a webinar Wednesday, January the 22nd at 10:30 a.m. She will touch on healthy swaps. So I know a lot of resolutions again kicking in for a healthier, more fitness, as well as better eating habits for the new year. So check her out and again, join us on the 22nd for some healthy swaps that you can institute into your home and live a healthier lifestyle. And don't forget to check that bulletin for, again, her recipes, as well as highly asked questions that she will continue to answer. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Ashley. Very helpful as usual. Sometimes the retirees, you talked about travel, like plan your year ahead. Sometimes those good deals for the retirees come like next Tuesday. And if you're retired, sometimes you can jump on that next Tuesday trip, if you will. So that's always fun to keep in mind as well, too. So there we have it. Very well done. Thank you, team, for everything today. The message was great. The content was fantastic. We appreciate that. For your listeners out there, we appreciate you. Happy New Year. We appreciate you. We thank you for being a friend of ours, a client of ours. We appreciate that. Without you guys, we don't have Gentian. And so we appreciate you very much. We also appreciate the introductions you've given us over the last year and over the lifetime, actually, just to say thank you for introducing the people that you care about, your friends, family, coworkers, neighbors, whatever the case is. We appreciate you in that and helping us grow organically here at Gentian Financial. So thank you very much. Happy New Year. If there's anything that we can do to help your year be better, whether it's on the financials or anything else, let us know. Our team stands ready to help you, big or small. And we want to wish you a great day. Thank you for spending time with us. Cheers to a great 2025. Bye now.